name is Lohwina Sarimerta. You can call me Wina, and I'm a sixth semester student from B class of English Language Education. So here I'd like to share about an analysis of prose elements in the snow of Kilimanjaro. So before we go further, I'd like to share Snow of Kilimanjaro was written by Hemingway, which told about the man called Harry and his wife who were in Africa's savannah for their vacation. But unfortunately, the first story said about Harry and Helen were talking each other and talk about Harry's gangrene who got infection, and then they were waiting for help. And then in the middle of the story, you will see the flashback life of Harry in the past, and then until Harry aware of his dad who were getting closer. So from that story, there are several elements that I analyzed, as you can see on the slide. The first part is about the author styles. So imagery, simile and metaphor, repetition, tone, irony, plot, and narration. So let's move to the first elements. Imagery. Based on Marcus on 2005, imagery is used by writers to create vivid pictures that make our senses such as sight, touch, smell, hearing, and taste respond to. Adjectival or descriptive writing is a dominant element of imagery. So here there are several types of imagery. First is visual imagery, represents our sight, and then auditory imagery represents sound. Olfactory imagery represents smell. Kinesthetic imagery represents muscular tense of our movement. Gustatory imagery represents taste. Tactile imagery represents touch. And then organic imagery represents our body awareness or the sensations that we feel from the story. So here is the one part of the snow of Kilimanjaro. So I think you can read it on the slide by yourself. So from that part, there are three imagery that can be analyzed. The first is visual imagery. Visual imagery can be seen from the line. There were a few Tommies that show minutes and whites against the yellow, and far up he saw a herd of zebra white against the green of the bus. This was a pleasant camp under big trees against a hill with good water and close by nearly dry water hole. So here you can feel the sense of sight which describe the condition or the nature where Harry stayed. And then the second is kinesthetic imagery. White against the green of the bus describe the movement sense, the body muscular sense of the zebra who against or who move from the green bus. And then the auditory imagery can feel from the praise saying grows like teeth in the morning. So here the grows refers to the sounds which is produced by the sun in the morning, and then it can appeal the sound sense in our sorry, I mean that in the reader ears. And then organic imagery can feel from the line she had been acutely frightened of being alone. So there is the sensation or the feeling that can be felt by the readers, the body aware. And then tactile imagery can be seen from the line. The broth was too hot. He had to hold it in the cup until it cooled enough to take it, and then he just get it down without gauging. So here, this line describes how Harry swallowed the broth and filled the broth. So there is a touch or the skinship between hairy skin under the cup of brood, and then hood is refers to the touch sense here. And then the second one, so let's move to the similar. Similar is an explicit comparison that contains the word like or as. An imaginative author usually make a unlikely components. Similar compares something unlikely indirectly by using words like as like, resemble, than, similar to, or seems. It is argued by Utami 2013, and also the first definition of similar was argued by Marcus on 2005. And then before we go further about similar, I also want to explain a little bit about metaphor. So metaphor is almost like similar, which compares elements described in another to create a connection instead of using words as and like. A metaphor compares something indirectly in order to make a connection and make the reader's work to understand and find metaphor in literary works. In this, so here, so the similar here can be found in the line, the snow as smooth to see as cake frosting and as light as powder. And here remember the noiseless rush, the speed made as you drop down like a bird. So here the author compare the textures of the snow and the cake frosting. As we know that snow and cake frosting is really unlike thing. But here the author compared those things. And then also here I can say that the author also compare the noiseless and also the bird. And then the second one, metaphor here can be found in the line, love is a dunghill, said Harry, and I'm the cook that gets on it to crow. So here, love is the unreal thing, but the author compare it with Harry, which is human, and then they also, and the author also compare love is dunghill as a disgusting thing, and I'm the cook. That cook refers to the animal. Here, actually, this line can be interpreted like love is a disgusting thing or the full thing, but as a human, Harry still stubborn to find the way what is love is. And then after that, we move to the rhyme. So rhyme is the variation which is used by the author in order to make a sound appeal in the reader ears. So I think if we talk about rhyme, it reminds me of our poetry course on the fourth semesters. So here, rhyme repetition is used for giving a variation effect of sounds which appeal for the reader's ears. And then there are four kinds of repetition. The first is alliterations, the repetition of consonant sounds at the beginning of words. And then consonants, the repetitions of consonant sounds at the middle or the end of words. And then assonance, the repetitions of vowel sounds. And rhyme is the combinations of alliterations, consonants, and assonance. So here I'd like you to read this part. This is some lines that I analyzed for the rhyme. Okay, so consonants, as what I said, that this is the repetitions of the same consonants at the end of the word. So here, the word rich beach have a similar consonants at the end of their word. So rich beach, there is a repetitions of consonant ch here, And then by hook and by crook, there are repetitions of consonant and then assonance. By hook and crook, also called as assonance, because there is a repetitions of vowel sound and then caretaker and destroyer, also called as consonants, because there are repetitions of the vowel sound and then alliterations. There is in the line, he had done his duty, so there are repetitions of consonant h and the in the beginning of the words. And then rhyme, like what I say, right? Rhyme is the combination between consonant, assonance, and alliterations. There in the words hook and crook and rich beach. There is a repetitions of assonance and consonants here. And then let's move to tone. So tone. The tone of a story refers to the attitudes of the writers toward the characters and theme of the story, based on Marcus on 2005. So in the story of the snow of Kilimanjaro, it can be interpreted that the tone of the story is regretful. It can be seen toward the character of Harry. Harry regretted his past life. It can be seen from the flashback that his life changed when he married Helen, who was a wealthy woman, and he married her without love in order to seek the luxurious life. But unfortunately, the luxurious life was not as happy as he thought. The comfort that he felt made him lose his talent as a writer. He regretted that he despised each day without writing, and it made him didn't write anything at all. So, and then let's move to irony. So there are three kinds of irony, such as verbal irony, situational irony, and the dramatic irony. Verbal verbal irony occurs when the character says the opposite things to what they really mean, what really mean, and there is a hidden meaning from what the character says. Meanwhile, situational irony occurs when what the reader's expectation is different from what is really happened in the story. Then dramatic irony occurs when the readers knows the key or the pitfall in the story, but the character doesn't. So the parallel irony occurs in the snow of Kilimanjaro when Helen asks Harry about what she could to do to him, and that what she could do to him, and Harry said, "You can take the leg off and that maybe stop talk. I love it. Or you can shoot me. You are a good shoot now." So here, if the readers are aware, actually this line means not doesn't mean that Harry giving up to his life, but instead of that, this lines refers to Harry, which is that who is annoyed to his wife, and he wishes that Helen will stop asking him again. So here the line was delivered by Harry in sarcasm sound. So situational irony occurred to Harry's marriage life. Marrying a wealthy woman was expected to bring love and fulfillment, but instead of realizing that expectation, he regretted his marriage for his life. Uh, and then he felt that his soul was dying first before his body. So now move to plot. Plot is one of element in short story which explains how the story happens. Here is the plot of the Snows of Kilimanjaro. First is exposition. Exposition began when Harry and his wife Helen in Africa's savannah and then moved. They were talking about Harry's leg which got infection and waiting for help, and then the story turning to Harry's flashback about his previous life, and then the exposition ended by Harry's reveal that he didn't love his wife and regretted for losing his talent. And then climax. So sometimes readers will think that climax is the most exciting part of the story, but actually climax is the turning point of the story. Um, so in the snow of Kilimanjaro, the climax began when Harry remembered his life in Paris and Constantinople during the World War One. The flashback made him realize that he didn't write everything that he wanted to yet. When Harry realized that and knew that he wouldn't live any longer, he could feel that the death was getting closer to him. And then move to the last part is resolution. So resolution was signed by the following actions. And the following actions started when the morning dawns has come and the plan also came for rescues them from the peak of Kilimanjaro mountain. And Harry knew that he had to go there. The story returned to Helen in the night when here is when she realized that Harry just died. The plan is coming late to Harry because the infections had been spread to his body. And then let's move to the narration. Narration in the is the recounting sequence for telling or explain the story. In the snow of Kilimanjaro, the author writes the story in the form of plot narration where the story sequence is arranged less chronologically. There are present narrations which shows the conversation between Harry and Helen in Africa, while the post narration occurred during Harry's flashback about his life. So here is the narrations in the present. I just show the main point or the main part which show the present narration. So as you can see on the slide, and then the past narration is the shown in this part. Okay, so I think that's all about the analysis of prose elements in the snow of Kilimanjaro. So I do apologize if there are some mistakes that I done during the presentation. And then thank you for watching. Goodbye.